Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of On Point EDC. Today we have a very special knife. Some would consider it a grail knife. I know I sure did for a very long time. It is of course the famous Chris Reeve Sebenza 21. So Chris Reeve, the brand, they were founded in 1984 out of Durban, South Africa. They are now proudly based in Boise, Idaho, and they produce made in the USA knives, which is very cool. Their market segment is that kind of high-end to luxury level, and really no complaints there, right? They produce high-quality stuff, and it has some high-quality pricing to go with it. So the type of knife this is, it's a titanium frame lock. Folding knife, which has that Chris Reeve, that integral lock, and it's really just an evolution of the Walker liner lock, where you have a titanium handle and that kind of integrated frame lock, which is really nice. This particular model is a KnifeArt exclusive. It's the Small Sebenza carbon fiber with the Insingo blade. So before we get too much into the knife, let's do the quick customary wristwatch check. Today I have on my Artifice Horrorworks built Ultimate SKX. As you can see here, I kind of chose it because, like the Sebenza 21, the SKX is a very classic, it's a very classic piece in its own right. And this particular model was kind of jazzed up with all the latest and greatest materials. I have that ratcheting clasp from the Marine Master 300, sapphire. It has the coin edge bezel now instead of kind of that weird dual stack grip bezel from before, sunburst dial and whatnot. So it's just hacking, hand winding movement. Basically, we took a classic and we brought it up to kind of modern times, which I feel kind of what KnifeArt did with this knife. With the Sebenza, they took a design that's been out for years and years and years, and they really packed a lot of punch into it by just kind of updating a couple of small swapping out some different materials. And I think kind of what they put together is something that really stands up and offers you just a little bit more bang for your buck than you'd get with just a regular Sebenza 21. So let's go ahead and get the customary gratuitous loom shot before we jump into the knife review. So as you can see, Seiko LumaBrite looks great. Make sure to, if you haven't already, look up the full video review for this. It's in the history of my channel, so great piece, highly recommend it, and that's what's going to be flopping around on my wrist during this knife review. So now to the Chris Reeve KnifeArt Sebenza 21. I mean, this is just a handsome knife. It's just beauty and simplicity. So let's get into the specs a little bit. So this is a special edition, of course, being a KnifeArt exclusive. It has that full carbon fiber scale and then that special lanyard bead on there. I mean, that's kind of some of the key things that really make this stand out. As far as the blade goes, it's CPM, which is US based crucible steel. It is the S35VN premium stainless steel. It has a hollow grind, which is stone washed finish, and then that sheep's foot kind of shaped Insingo blade, which is very, very nice. And of course, with a frame lock, you're going to have that titanium scale there. Very nicely executed. I mean, the finishing, everything is just on point. I mean, this thing is fantastic. And then on the other side, we have that great solid carbon fiber scale, which is also extremely finely executed. So really nicely done. All right, as far as dimensions go, they were posted in the beginning of the video, but just to kind of retouch on them again, this is going to come in at an overall length of 6.875 inches with a blade length just under 3 inches at 2.94 inches. Close length is going to be just under 4 at 3.94 inches, and the weight is a very svelte 2.3 ounces. So this thing is very nice, and it's a really amazing EDC blade, and I really do enjoy carrying this. And it's just a really nice knife. And there's going to be some haters out there that don't think the regular Sebenza is worth it, let alone this Sebenza, the KnifeArt exclusive. But I gotta say, I think this actually offers a slightly better value proposition than just the run-of-the-mill Sebenza, because it's just a very special package, and it has just kind of the theme and the way everything's put together. I think it's just really it's a handsome piece, and it's hard to argue with the quality that's here, although maybe the technology is not going to be there as compared to what else is out there, especially in this price range. And we'll actually look at a couple of comparable options, you know, quote unquote Sebenza alternatives, and you know, specifically alternatives to this KnifeArt exclusive model. So in the hand, I mean, the ergonomics are very nice, you know, very comfortable. You know, that beveling really makes a difference. Really good jimping on the thumb ramp there. Nice little finger groove down here. Really makes it easy to lock in. You know, it's not the longest handle, but I mean, this is good. And then kind of this one just is going to rest, you know, that pinky finger. But you got a nice 3-finger lock in, and then you have your thumb, you know, nicely secured. Great purchase on that jimping. So the action is a bit controversial. It's very smooth, as you can see. It's not really meant to be flicked, although you can flick it. As you can see, it's didn't want to actually snap out because I don't want to give it too much wrist action to snap it. Let me see. There we go. So it's not, you know, the quickest deployment. I mean, I normally don't flip it. What I do is I just let it ride out. And on the way down, very nice. I mean, it's really good action. If I was to just move the lock bar, you'll see that it does fall freely. So really smooth pivot there. It actually has just phosphor bronze washers at the pivot, you know, and then it has that heat treated lock face. So there's not going to be any lock stick or anything like that. But this thing is really smooth, especially considering it's just on those bronze washers, which just goes to show you don't necessarily need all the bells and whistles to really pull off the end state, right? Which is good action. In pocket, this thing is great. I mean, nice small footprint, very light. The pocket clip rides relatively low, and the little peak that it does give you that hangs out of your pocket is nice. And it's nice to have the lanyard out there so you can go ahead and pull it out of the pocket a little bit faster, and with a little bit more confidence, which is nice. As far as model variants go, I mean, there's tons of other model variants, but let's talk about some comparable options. So here we go. Comparable option number 1, let's say Line Steel TRE, right? Very similar in shape, size, and you get it titanium frame lock, you know, carbon fiber side scale, and then you're actually getting bearings, you know, steel insert on the lock bar, milled pocket clip, you know, crazy milling here, milled out even on the inside of the carbon fiber for more weight savings. And it's a flipper, and you can also put a thumb stud on there, or you can take everything off and make it a 2-hand open for a more traditional open. But I mean, this is you know, and you're getting M390 steel, right? I mean, that's pretty much you know, the it steel right now that's out there. So that's definitely a nice option, and it is cheaper, but I mean, the TRE is still a relatively pricey knife. So let's actually get these up here so you can just kind of see them side by side. Very similar profile. I'd say that the line steel is a little bit meatier, which makes it seem a little bit stubbier, which maybe in hand, you know, or actually I guess visually makes it seem shorter than the Sebenza, which feels longer. But I think really that what makes the Sebenza really feel longer, because it's not much longer. I mean, really it's just this portion right here. What makes it feel longer is that it's thinner. So just something to look at. But let's go as far as like an affordable option would be ZT-0450, right? Which I think is very comparable to a plain Sebenza, but for the KnifeArt exclusive, hey, guess what? Now we have a carbon fiber side scale there. We got some blued titanium standoffs, and we've even added a milled pocket clip just for good measure. And you know, for an extremely discounted price versus that KnifeArt, it definitely has a similar theme. You know, it has that carbon fiber blue titanium. I mean, it really hits all of the same notes. I mean, is it going to be as finely finished? No. I mean, it does have the same blade steel though, S35. You know, so that's pretty nice. The jimping isn't quite as nice. I mean, you know, it's more traditional blade versus the Insingo, but no slouch at all. And it's honestly, if you look at the contours, you know, pretty similar. I'd say maybe the Sinkovich design is going to be a little bit more organic feeling versus you know, the more stick handled feeling that you're going to get in the Sebenza. But you know, as far as the blade finishing goes, I mean, the heat treat and the stone wash on this is just outstanding. So it's not going to be finished as finely, but it's not going to cost anywhere near as much, and realistically it's going to be able to perform exactly, you know, as good, if not better. You know, and it does have much better deployment. I mean, it's a flipper, and it's a great flipper versus, you know, the Sebenza, which is, you know, kind of a nice, it's very particular deployment style. And you know, so I mean, it's good for what it is. I mean, but it's nothing special, you know. And you can flick it out, but just there's a lot of more. I don't want to shake the camera and the table, so I have to lift my elbow up. Sorry, to get it out there, you know. But it's not really meant for that. But it can be flicked pretty nicely. It's very expensive, you know, of course, at, you know, $395, but it is a really nice piece. I mean, but the thing is now is that, you know, you can mod yourself a nice little 0450 and you're getting pretty darn close. I mean, you're kind of outdoing this KnifeArt Sebenza in a lot of ways, right? You have more modern pivot, you have milled pocket clip, and the knife is actually, I want to say it's, if not the same weight, maybe slightly lighter than the Sebenza. I want to say the actually, what's the Sebenza at? It's 2.3. I want to say this is right about at 2.4, but it's like 2.39, you know, so it's not much heavier. It's pretty negligible. But it's a flipper, and it's a darn good flipper. So those are just some things to think about. Let's get them all out here and take a look at them all lined up. Kind of see their, maybe even zoom in on these guys, right? And let's just get a closer look at them. So the angle and the kind of perspective is going to make the smaller knife on the bottom look larger, and make the longer, knife on top look a little bit shorter. So they're all gonna look probably about the same size on camera. But just to give you a look there, I mean, if you had just a non-knife lover go through, and they probably wouldn't be able to tell you the difference between any of these knives anyway. And if they were to choose which one they thought was the most expensive, I mean, it could be a toss-up. So there are a lot of options out there. It's not how it used to be, you know, but I think it's kind of one of those things where, you know, Chris Reeve, there's brand cash that comes with it, right? That cachet of owning a Chris Reeve knife. There's a level of exclusivity and of kind of commitment, right? If you have a Chris Reeve knife, chances are you are a true knife fan, right? You're not just somebody who needed a cutting tool, so you picked up a Sebenza. No, I mean, there's a process, right? There's kind of this whole journey and a realization and commitment to picking up a knife that costs this much, that honestly offers not that much in return back, right? As far as I'd say maybe objectively, I think there's a lot of subjective greatness that comes back from owning a Chris Reeve knife, especially the Sebenza 21 being so iconic. And the reason why I chose the Insingo blade is because that it's even you know, another level of just more Chris Reeve-ness, right? You know, of course they have the S35 VN steel, which was developed in part with Chris Reeve, but then you also have this blade shape that is exclusive, you know, to Chris Reeve and something that he put into. So it's almost kind of like a distilled version of that. And then of course you add in KnifeArt to put together this great package, and you have something that is kind of, you know, near custom. So it's just a really, really cool knife, and I like it. And yes, it's expensive, and yes, there are other knives you can get out there, and honestly, I bought those knives before getting the Sebenza because I wanted to be able to kind of appreciate, you know, the nuances. If you start off with just, you know, it's like buying a Rolex, right, for your first watch. You're probably not going to appreciate all the little things and details that make a Rolex great, right? Until you've had a couple of those other watches first, right? And kind of had your own journey. I'd say it's the same thing for a Sebenza owner. You know, you don't want to start off with your first knife as a Sebenza. You want to kind of play the field, and then when the time comes, you know, if you get one, maybe you like it, maybe you don't. I mean, there are people that, you know, have owned them and returned them. It's not their bag. But for me, I'm one of the people that you know, there was no buyer's remorse for me. I was happy with my purchase, and I still am. So, you know, really the bottom line here is that this is a very special, exclusive version of an already high-end and legendary EDC knife. You know, it has good looks, and now you can, which are backed up, you know, by a premium price, but now you have, you know, some extra premium materials and finishing and exclusivity that really, I think, adds to that value proposition. So guys, let me know what you think. I know it's kind of a controversial knife, especially in this particular trim. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about some of my comparable options and my thoughts. You know, hopefully you guys liked the video, and if you did, you hit like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content. I'll leave it at that. Thanks guys. Bye.